Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a field that's really exploding right now, business analysis.
Absolutely. It's a huge area.
These are the people who figure out what makes businesses work, what their problems are, and crucially, how to solve them in ways that actually add value. And, the demand for good business analysts is just going through the roof globally.
It really is. You can think of them as sort of business detectives. They don't just look at the surface problems.
Right.
They really dig in to find the root causes and then architect the solutions.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we've waded through, a lot of material. Articles on skills, daily life insights, how they gather requirements, their role in software development, career paths, and even how they stack up against product owners, especially in agile setups.
Yeah, that PO versus BA question comes up a lot.
It does. Our goal here is to give you a really solid, comprehensive understanding of what it takes to be a successful business analyst looking ahead to 2025.
We'll hit the key points, maybe uncover a few surprising details, but keep it clear and concise. You won't feel like you're drowning in jargon, promise.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. What exactly is a business analyst? In simple terms.
Well, at its core, a business analyst enables change within an organization.
Enables change.
How? By deeply understanding the business's problems or opportunities, and then defining solutions that provide the most value back to the stakeholders. They're change agents, really.
So they're not just siloed in one department.
Oh, definitely not. Their work cuts across so many areas. It could be high-level strategy, enterprise architecture, specific processes. It's broad.
Sounds like they need to be great communicators then, linking different groups.
That's a huge part of it. They're the bridge, connecting clients and stakeholders, the people with the needs, with the technical teams who actually build things, making sure everyone's on the same page.
Makes total sense. Okay, let's talk skills. We hear about technical skills and soft skills. Let's dive into the technical toolkit first. What are the absolute must-haves for a BA in 2025?
Right, tech skills. Well, first and foremost, in today's world, data analysis is non-negotiable.
Okay.
You have to be comfortable with data. That means proficiency in SQL is usually essential for pulling data out of databases.
SQL, got it. What?
Excel, still incredibly important. You need to be a bit of a whiz with Excel for manipulating data, doing analysis, pivot tables, that sort of thing.
Good old Excel.
Yep. And then data visualization tools, think Tableau, Power BI. Turning raw data into insights people can actually understand visually.
So making the data tell a story.
Exactly. And for those going deeper, knowing some R or Python for statistical analysis, that's a big plus. It allows for much more sophisticated insights.
Okay, so data analysis is foundational. What builds on that?
Familiarity with business intelligence or BI tools. Things like SAP Business Objects, IBM Cognos, Microsoft Power BI again.
Right.
These are the platforms used to create the reports, the dashboards, the interactive visuals that managers use to make decisions. BAs often design or spec these out.
Gotcha. So they help turn data into decisions. What about understanding how the business actually works? The processes.
That's where process modeling and analysis comes in. You need to understand and map out business processes.
How do they do that?
Using notations like BPMN, that's Business Process Model and Notation, and tools like, say, Eris or Microsoft Visio. It helps visualize the workflow, find bottlenecks, just improvements. It's like drawing a map of how work gets done.
Okay, mapping the asses to figure out the to-be.
Yeah.
And managing the to-be involves requirements.
Precisely. Requirements management is key, using tools like JRA, Confluence, maybe IBM Doors, to capture what the business needs, document it clearly, track changes, manage approvals. It's about creating that detailed blueprint of what needs to be built or changed.
Keeping everyone aligned on the specifics, super important. And you mentioned JRA, that brings Agile to mind.
Yes, understanding Agile methodologies is crucial now. Scrum, Kanban, most development teams work this way.
So BAs need to know how Agile works.
Definitely. And they need to be proficient with Agile tools like JRA or Trello to collaborate effectively with those development teams in those fast-paced iterative cycles.
Less waterfall, more adaptive planning. What about understanding the tech systems themselves?
Yeah, system analysis skills are important. Knowing things like UML, Unified Modeling Language, helps.
Got it.
It's a standard way to visually model software systems. Use cases, activity diagrams, sequence diagrams. It helps document how the system should work and interact. It's like the architectural blueprint for software.
Helps the tech team really understand the design. What about showing stakeholders a glimpse of the future?
That's prototyping and wireframing. super valuable. Tools like ActuRP, Balsamic, or Sketch let BAs create mock-ups or even interactive prototypes.
So people can react to something concrete.
Exactly. It helps validate ideas early, gets crucial feedback before you build the expensive thing, saves a lot of time and rework.
I can see how useful that would be. Now, lots of companies run on big systems like ERP or CRM. Is knowledge there needed?
Familiarity is definitely a plus. Understanding enterprise resource planning systems, think SAP, Oracle that manage core operations, and customer relationship management systems like Salesforce for customer data.
Yeah.
It helps a BA understand the context, gather better requirements for projects involving these platforms.
Right, knowing the landscape they're operating in and the whole process of building software, the SDLC.
Absolutely fundamental. Software development lifecycle. BAs need a solid grasp of all the phases: planning, analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance.
Why is that so important?
So they know where they fit in, how to interact effectively with the dev team at each stage, and ensure the business needs are met throughout.
Makes sense. We mentioned R and Python for data. Is actual coding a common BA skill?
It's not always required, but hands-on knowledge, especially in R and Python for data analysis, is a definite advantage. Same for statistical software like SAS or SPSS. It just gives them more power to work directly with data.
A force multiplier, perhaps?
Could be. And then, circling back to BI tools, creating those reports and dashboards we talked about, that ability to clearly present findings is a core technical skill in itself.
Turning analysis into communication.
Yes. And underlying a lot of this data work is understanding databases.
Right.
Both relational ones like Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, and increasingly NoSQL databases. And as we said, proficiency in SQL to actually query them is key.
SQL keeps coming up. And the perhaps underestimated tool.
Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't discount it. It's fundamental for calculations, data slicing and dicing, budget analysis, pivot tables, quick reports. It's the BA's Swiss Army knife sometimes.
Still the workhorse. Okay, and finally, wrapping up the tech skills. Bringing it all together.
Documentation and presentation. You have to be able to clearly document everything, findings, requirements, plans, and then confidently present that information to stakeholders, technical teams, executives. Clarity is crucial.
That's a pretty comprehensive technical list. But we know it's not just about the tech, right? What about those non-technical, those crucial soft skills?
Oh, absolutely essential. Maybe even more important sometimes. It starts with truly understanding the business objective.
The why.
Exactly. Why are we doing this project? What are the organization's goals? What problem are we really solving? That requires business acumen, domain knowledge, seeing the big picture.
Can't solve a problem if you don't understand the context.
Precisely. And then analytical and critical thinking. Obvious, maybe, but so vital. Analyzing requirements deeply, evaluating options critically, questioning assumptions, prioritizing needs logically.
Going beyond just order taking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then communication and interpersonal skills. We touched on this, but it's huge. Clear, concise communication written, verbal presentation with all sorts of people, technical folks, business users, execs. Active listening is key too.
Building rapport and understanding. What if stakeholders disagree? Which happens?
All the time. That's where negotiation skills are vital. Finding common ground, mediating disagreements. And tied to that is cost-benefit analysis.
Figuring out the value proposition?
Right. Assessing the costs versus the benefits of different solutions. Can you make a compelling case for why one option is better financially or strategically?
So they need persuasive skills too. And they have to make calls sometimes.
Yes. Strong decision-making skills. Weighing the pros and cons, considering risks, making well-reasoned recommendations based on their analysis. Their decisions can really impact the business.
And they don't work alone, usually.
Rarely. So collaboration and teamwork are critical. Working effectively in cross-functional teams, respecting different perspectives, contributing to a positive team dynamic.
Things change fast in business too.
They sure do. So adaptability is key. Being flexible, adjusting to changing requirements or priorities without getting flustered. Rolling with the punches.
Essential for survival? What about juggling everything?
Time management. BAs often have multiple projects, tasks, deadlines. Being organized, prioritizing effectively, managing their time well is crucial to delivering.
Staying on top of it all.
Right.
And understanding the people involved.
Empathy and emotional intelligence. Understanding stakeholder perspectives, motivations, concerns. Building trust. It helps immensely in gathering requirements and managing relationships.
Seeing the human side of the business equation.
Definitely. And finally, just to reiterate, that overarching business acumen. understanding business principles, strategy, how companies operate. It ties everything together.
Wow, okay. It really is a blend of technical depth and strong interpersonal abilities. So with all those skills, what does a BA actually do all day? Paint us a picture of a typical day.
Well, there's no single typical day,
Huh?
but common elements exist. It might start with a daily stand-up meeting with the tech team.
Checking in on progress.
Yeah, discussing progress, clarifying requirements from yesterday, identifying any blockers the team is facing. The BA provides that business context.
Okay, connecting with the builders. What else?
A lot of stakeholder interaction. Meetings with clients, business users, department heads. Could be gathering new requirements, demoing a prototype, getting feedback, presenting analysis.
So lots of talking, lots of listening.
Definitely. Bridging those communication gaps is constant. And then there's the focused work time.
The documentation.
Right. Writing user stories, refining requirement documents, maybe creating process flows, updating business cases, preparing presentations. That analysis and synthesis part.
It's a real mix of collaboration and focused individual work then. Now, you mentioned gathering requirements multiple times. That seems core. Can you break down that process?
It is absolutely core. It generally follows a few key stages. First, you've got to identify your stakeholders. Who cares about this project? Who's impacted?
Knowing your audience.
Exactly. Then, define the project's scope and goals clearly. What are we trying to achieve? What's in, what's out? Boundaries are important.
Let's both creep to later.
Hopefully. Next comes the main event, eliciting requirements. This is the actual gathering of information.
How?
Using various techniques, we can talk about interviews, workshops, surveys, looking at existing systems, brainstorming.
Okay, getting the info out. Then what?
Documenting those requirements, putting them into a structured format like a business requirements document, BRD, or maybe user stories in a backlog.
Writing it all down clearly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, crucially, confirming those requirements back with the stakeholders. So I understand correctly? Is this what you meant? Getting sign-off or agreement?
Validation is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, prioritizing the requirements. What's most important? What needs to be done first? Based on business value, urgency, dependencies.
Because you can't do everything at once.
Almost never.
Yeah.
So those are the main stages.
Okay, and you mentioned techniques for eliciting requirements. What are some common ones BAs use?
There's a whole toolbox. One-on-one interviews are great for deep dives with key individuals. Group meetings or workshops like JD sessions, joint application development bring multiple stakeholders together to hash things out collaboratively.
Everyone in a room.
Can be very effective. Brainstorming is good for generating ideas early on. Document analysis, reviewing existing manuals, reports, process maps can uncover a lot.
Learning from what's already there.
Right. Prototyping and wireframing, which we mentioned, are fantastic for getting visual feedback. Surveys or questionnaires work well for large groups. And sometimes, shadowing users, actually watching them do their jobs, provides invaluable insights into their real needs and pain points.
Seeing it in action, that's a diverse set. Do they use specific software for managing all this?
Yeah, definitely. Beyond standard tools like Word and Excel, there are specialized requirements management platforms.
Wow.
Jira is very common, especially with Agile. Monday.com, Notion are used too. More traditional tools include things like Calibre, JAMA software, even doc sheets. They help track requirements, link them to tests, manage changes.
Keep it organized. And visual.
Visual models are huge. Context diagrams to show scope, functional decomposition to break things down, use case diagrams for user interactions, sequence diagrams for system flows.
Lots of diagrams.
They help clarify complexity. And of course, user stories are a key format for requirements, especially in Agile. As a user, I want to do something, so that benefit.
That format really focuses on the user value. Okay, any quick tips for doing this well? Writing good requirements docs, collecting effectively.
Sure, for the document. Clear goals, defined scope, list stakeholders, detailed deliverables, realistic timeline, specific requirements, business and tech, budget info, success metrics. Be thorough.
Got it. And for collecting.
Define the goals up front. Document everything. Summarize your understanding and get validation often. Identify all stakeholders. Avoid assumptions. Ask clarifying questions. Confirm before you execute. And prioritize ruthlessly based on value.
Solid advice. Don't assume, document, confirm, prioritize. Now, we've talked around the software development lifecycle, the SDLC. Can you walk us through the BA's role in each phase?
Okay, sure. So in the initial planning phase, the BA is key in identifying that business need or opportunity and defining the high-level objectives. Why are we building this?
Setting the direction.
Exactly. Then comes requirement analysis. This is the BA sweet spot. gathering, analyzing, documenting, prioritizing those detailed needs we just discussed. In software design, they often work with architects and devs, translating those business requirements into more technical specifications, like user stories with acceptance criteria, maybe reviewing design mock-ups.
Bridging to the technical design.
Yes. During the actual software development or coding phase, they're a resource for the developers, answering questions, clarifying ambiguities in the requirements.
Keeping development on track.
Right. Then, software testing. The BA often plays a big role here, especially in user acceptance testing, UAT, making sure the built software actually meets the business requirements they defined.
Validating the outcome.
Exactly. And finally, in software implementation or deployment, they might be involved in training, gathering user feedback post-launch, identifying issues or future enhancements.
So they really are involved end-to-end.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
They provide that continuity of business understanding throughout the lifecycle.
Now let's shift specifically to Agile. It's so prevalent. How does the BA role function in Agile projects? It sounds a bit different.
It is different, and it's a really important point. In pure Agile frameworks, like Scrum, there often isn't a formally defined business analyst role.
No BA role, but the work still needs doing.
Precisely. The activities of business analysis, understanding needs, defining requirements, ensuring value, are absolutely essential. They just might be performed differently, often more collaboratively by the whole team.
So who does them?
Often, the product owner, PO, takes on a large part of representing the business needs and managing the product backlog. But the BA skill set is incredibly valuable within the Agile team.
How so? How can a BA contribute?
A person with BA skills can be a massive help to the PO, analyzing the business domain in depth, helping elicit needs from complex stakeholder groups, and critically, helping stock and groom the product backlog.
Grooming the backlog.
Yeah, breaking down big ideas, epics, into smaller, manageable user stories, refining those stories with details and acceptance criteria, helping the PO prioritize using various models. It's detailed work the PO might struggle to do alone.
So the BA supports the PO and the team.
Exactly. They might act almost like a business coach within the team, facilitating discussions, helping generate concrete examples, ensuring shared understanding, transferring analysis skills, being that analytical powerhouse within the collaborative structure.
Sounds like a facilitator and analyst combined. What specific BA skills shine brightest in an Agile setting?
Deep business understanding remains number one. Conceptual modeling, seeing the connections. Communication is amplified constant, clear interaction is vital. Multitasking, strong facilitation skills for workshops and retrospectives, asking really good probing questions. Flexibility in documentation, less formal, more visual, or just in time. Understanding Agile principles deeply. And familiarity with techniques like user stories, use cases, behavior-driven development, BDD, examples.
So the core skills adapted for a faster, more collaborative flow. Okay, let's zoom out again. What does a career path look like for a BA? Where can it lead?
It's quite a varied path, actually. You typically start in junior roles, junior BA, maybe just analyst.
Entry level.
Right. Then you progress to mid-level business analyst, senior business analyst, maybe specialize into roles like lead BA or even business architect, looking at the bigger enterprise picture.
Business architect. Interesting. And beyond that?
Senior leadership, director of business analysis, sometimes moving into broader roles like VP of IT, VP of operations, potentially even CIO, COO, CTO, depending on their trajectory in the company.
So, real potential to reach executive levels. What helps people climb that ladder? Education? Certs?
A mix of things. A relevant bachelor's degree business, IT, economics is usually the starting point. An MBA or a master's in business analytics can really accelerate things. Certifications are highly valued. From the IIBA, you have the ECBA for entry level, the CCBA, the CBAP for experienced pros. PMI has the PBA certification too. They demonstrate commitment and standardized knowledge.
So certs help validate skills.
They do. And of course, constantly honing both those technical and soft skills we discussed. Experience is king, but demonstrating growth in skills is crucial.
Makes sense. And the job market itself. Is it a good field to be in?
Oh, absolutely. The outlook is very strong. Businesses need people who can translate business needs into technology solutions and process improvements. That demand isn't going away. If anything, it's growing with digital transformation.
Good news for aspiring BAs. What about salary expectations? Can you give us a rough idea?
Sure. Bearing in mind it varies by location, industry experience. But roughly junior BAs might start around, say, $70,000 to $90,000.
Okay.
Senior BAs with experience could be looking at 100,000 to 140,000, sometimes more. And director level roles, often $150,000 and up, potentially over $200,000 in larger, more complex organizations.
So definite potential for financial growth alongside the career progression. Now, let's tackle that comparison. Business analyst versus product owner. We touched on it in Agile, but let's clarify the distinctions.
Right, it's a common point of confusion because there is overlap, especially in Agile teams. But the core focus is different. The product owner owns the product vision and strategy.
Focused on the what and why of the product.
Exactly. Market needs, customer value, prioritizing features for the product's success. The business analyst typically focuses more on understanding the business processes and detailed requirements, often across multiple systems or projects.
More on the how and the operational needs.
That's a good way to put it. The BA often acts as that bridge, ensuring the business operations and system requirements are met, while the PO is the voice of the customer and market for the specific product.
What about key skills? Do they differ significantly?
There's overlap in analytical thinking, but BAs often need stronger skills in detailed process modeling, requirements documentation, and system analysis. POs need strong product management knowledge, market understanding, strategic thinking, prioritization frameworks, and leadership to guide the product's direction.
Okay, how about their roles in gathering requirements?
The BA often does the deep dive into eliciting and documenting detailed functional and non-functional requirements, process flows, data needs. The PO focuses on gathering customer needs, defining high-level features, epics, user stories, and ensuring they align with the product vision.
And communication and prioritization differences.
The BA might communicate more of the detailed specs to the dev team, ensuring clarity on how to build something. The PO communicates the vision, goals, and the why behind features, motivating the team. For prioritization, the PO owns the product backlog priority based on value, market demand, strategy. The BA provides crucial input on feasibility, dependencies, business process impact to inform those PO decisions. They should work closely.
A partnership, ideally.
Definitely. And career paths.
Yeah, where do they typically lead?
BAs often have broader options, specializing in industries, moving into project or program management, enterprise architecture, or even becoming POs. POs tend to grow within a product management track, senior PO, product manager, group product manager, head of product.
More specialized for the PO, and salaries, you mentioned POs might earn more.
Generally, yes. Because the PO role often carries direct strategic responsibility for the product's success in the market, it can command a slightly higher salary on average, though a highly experienced BA can certainly earn very well too.
Okay. And current demand, who are companies hiring more of right now?
Both roles are definitely in demand, but there's been a significant surge in demand for experienced product owners lately.
Why is that?
I think as more companies adopt Agile and become truly product-led, focusing on customer experience and market fit, the need for strong POs to drive that vision has really intensified. BAs are still essential, but that specific PO role is very hot right now.
Interesting dynamic. Okay, that really helps clarify the BA versus PO landscape. So, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway? What defines a successful BA in 2025?
I think the key is versatility. A successful BA is this blend strong technical foundations, especially around data and systems, coupled with excellent non-technical skills like communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and business acumen.
The complete package.
Pretty much. They're problem solvers, translators, facilitators. They play such a critical role in helping organizations navigate change and succeed, whether it's in traditional projects or increasingly in agile environments.
And it's not static, is it?
Not at all. The field is constantly evolving with new technologies, new methodologies. So continuous learning, adaptability, those are essential traits to stay relevant and effective as a BA.
Absolutely. So for you, our listener, maybe think about what aspects of this role really clicked with you. Is it the deep analytical problem solving, the people side, the communication and collaboration? The strategic thinking? Hopefully this deep dive gives you a clearer picture of this really vital profession and maybe sparks some ideas for your own exploration, whether it's digging into specific skills or considering a career path in business analysis.
Yeah, it's a fascinating and rewarding field.
It certainly sounds like it. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.